there are friendships and then there are friendships that are like family to us. What happens when those friendships become fragmented, when they break down? The pain can be unbearable because you feel like you're losing a part of yourself. Is there a possibility to reconcile fragmented friendships? We're going to talk about that right after this. What is mindset? Our mindset is based on what we believe, and anything we believe in, we put into motion. I have spent my life putting the mindset of perseverance into motion, and now I am here today to share my journey along with others whose mindsets have changed the course of their lives. Hi, I'm mindset coach Lorraine Lindsey, and I believe that if you can change your mind, you have the power to change your life. So are you ready? Welcome back to another episode of the Lorraine Lindsey Podcast. We are all about mindset here. We believe that if you can change your mind, you have the power to change your life. I want to introduce our next guest, but before I get into this show, do not forget to hit the subscription button. Give us a thumbs up. Give us your comments. I love the continued support. And a lot of you are watching, but you're not subscribing, so do not forget to subscribe. I want to move into this really, really quickly. We have a set of guests that are here. Some who've been on the studio before, but they're here to talk about some real tangible conversations about the breakdown in friendship. We're talking about reconciliation, communication, and growing up through that process. So without further ado, let me introduce. I want you guys to just kind of say who you are, do the introduction, because I don't want to be long-winded, because I really think that this is a powerful story you're going to talk about, especially because the last time a couple of you were here, we had, it was at the peak of when everything was breaking down, right? And so I really want y'all to talk about that and how the reconciliation came to be and the power behind that message. So introduce yourselves, and then we're going to get right into this topic.
Hey, man. I'm Kang of the Future Kings.
Okay, simple as that.
I'm Renzell of the Future Kings.
Soski, the Future Kings.
Sound good.
Yeah.
Sounds super good.
We're the
Sounds
Future Kings.
good. I love
We are
it.
the Future Kings.
Yes, we are.
Nothing more, nothing less. Us.
God.
So let me just talk about the elephant in the room. Okay,
Oh,
let's just start with that.
Let's keep it a being.
It was you and Renz the last time, both of y'all,
Yeah,
and we had this young man missing from the equation,
he was.
right? There was a height in your all's career, right? You guys were on a popular TV show, America's Got Talent,
Right.
and that literally catapulted your career. Now,
Absolutely.
behind the scenes, y'all had been working together in your dance and in your music long before you got that exposure.
Literally.
But that exposure catapulted your career into something else,
100%.
right? I mean, it was like rapid growth.
100%.
And with that, created some breakdown and fragmented the friendship because of creative energy, because of, differences of opinions, because of whatever. What was that? Talk to us a little bit about what was that? What do you think caused it? Was it one thing, two things, a combination of things that really broke that down?
I think we were really trying to like a lot of that. Am I allowed to cuss?
Yeah, go for
I
it.
was just gonna be
Just
raw.
be yourself.
Yeah,
Be
a lot of
100%
that. A
be
lot of
yourself.
that shit was like very, very fast.
Okay.
Like as soon as we got off the show, we started dropping music at a rapid pace, like faster than we did before the show.
Mm-hmm.
So we were dropping little things here and there just for fun, on the side of our dancing. We were really trying to build ourselves as a dance group first.
Right.
But once we got off the show, we started doing music, taking it more serious. We just started learning how to, record at home and save money from the studio. We were trying to do this shit together. And when the music started to grow, obviously our goals started to change, and that's fine, but we weren't really like clear on what the goal really, really was. And I feel like that's where everybody started to kind of like mentally drift apart first before physically. Like I think because we had seen some kind of decent success in the first releases of our music, I think that we thought, okay, I think we're straight now. I think there's nothing bigger than this right now. I think that I could do what I want to do right now. And it was premature. I think it was very premature. I can say that now, looking back. Our choices were pretty premature because we didn't communicate. And that was where, that's one of the, key topics of why we broke up, in my opinion, from my point of view. We lacked heavily on communication, and on my behalf, I knew I wasn't emotionally like ready enough as a man, like I wasn't ready to talk to these are my brothers, like my best friends since before I had a fucking license. You know what I mean? Like I'm picking him up in my mom's minivan. I'm sleeping. I'm going to his house studying for my final exams and shit. Like, damn. But like, you have a question?
No, I was gonna say, because as you're saying this stuff, this is the thing that I think a lot of people don't see, and they don't realize that the aspiration for young influencers, dancers, musicians, whatever it is to hit that mark where you just kind of take off. And what you're not prepared for is the mental, emotional ride that takes. Yeah. So my question was, did you feel like there was a lot of pressure, like this is the window's open if I don't do all these things right now? And did that cause some breakdown in the communication because of this like need to succeed while the strike the iron while it's hot, so to speak?
Right. And I think that we were always good at that. And that's why missing out on the last couple of years with Soski was so hard, because even when we mentioned America's Got Talent, even though we started being really serious as a group about being a super group, dropping music, dancing to the music, and allowing the music to have optimal success, we were on the red carpet and Malik had a no humble zone talking about our music on the red carpet. We had only dropped like 1 or 2 songs as a group, but even at the hype during that window that we're mentioning right now, that window, he knew that the iron was hot. He knew that the window was open. He knew because we had spent so many years prior to that opportunity presenting itself. We knew that when that chance comes, it's go time. It's a green light. We're not waiting on anybody else's, you know what I'm saying, validation. So on the red carpet, he was the one that, and there's proof, there's receipts about this on the internet all over. He's like, yo, hey, make sure that y'all go stream that Do the Dash. As soon as we got eliminated, there was so much press because, you know, the world thought we were...
too. Well, the world saw y'all as these phenomenal dancers, right? You're choreographing videos for big, huge hip hop stars or whatever. But there's this music component of you that wasn't what the exposure came from. Right? And so you were kind of maybe a little bit ahead of everything, was saying, while we're here, we need to talk about this music.
Yeah.
And so was that kind of the breakdown of like, well, no, we needed, they like us for the dance. We'll bring the music in later. Was that some of the breakdown that was going on?
I wouldn't say that. There was a point in time where I felt like I didn't want to do dance anymore.
Okay.
But even then, it wasn't, they were like, oh, well, you can't be with us. Like, they were still like, okay, you know, you're just not going to dance, you know? So I don't think that was ever really a problem. I think I just always knew that we were really good at music and we could really do it. Like, I knew that we could really do it. We really had it. So I was pushing for it even before we had a 3 vets or any of that, because I'm like, we're going to have a 3 vet, you know? Like, so for me, that was like, we just got to push that. But as far as leaving, it didn't have anything to do with that. It was more the fact that these are really my brothers. You know what I'm saying? Like, he raised me, you know? Like, I have a actual older brother who I can't say has taught me fucking 3 things in my life that I use right now. You know what I'm saying? This nigga, I was 10 years old, he was teaching me how to read street signs and shit. Like, we really, really close, you know?
Right.
So for me, the disconnect became when I didn't feel as close with them, you know? Like, when they were in Vegas and I was alone, I was with all the other niggas that was on the group. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
real shit.
So you started
real shit. I'm not
That's real. That's real.
But let's talk about that. So you said you started to feel alone, right?
Yeah, I started to feel alone, yes.
Was it that you felt like they were making other things more important than maybe the relationship?
No, see, at the time, I was so like, I never really took time to fully think about things in anybody else's perspective but mine until I left the group. Until I had time to fully be on my own, it was just how I felt about shit. You know what I'm saying? So I wasn't looking at anybody else's reasoning for anything like, oh, if you did that, I feel like you did it for that, so that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? So the disconnect came when they had moved to Vegas, and I knew why they were moving. Like, I knew what was going on, but at the same time, I'm here with these niggas, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, I don't have the connection with these guys.
Meaning the other people that were members of the group, of the dance crew kind of thing, right?
And even with that, like, that they were members of the dance crew. Like, we made music. You know?
Right, right.
So
Exactly.
Three of us.
even with that, like anytime I wanted to, you know, like I was really alone, and being around that, it kind of, you know, kind of made me a little,
Maybe you felt like you were feeling abandoned. Maybe.
yeah, like I did. I felt like maybe for a second they didn't need me. They didn't, you know. So it started to make me feel some type of way within my own, you know.
Right.
So that for me, what was like, that's what kind of turned me away and was like, nah, fuck it. Like, if that's what we gonna do, fuck it. I'm gonna be by myself, and you know.
Right.
But it took me being away and seeing everything from what it is to be like, that wasn't what it was. I just had to be patient.
It's
you know?
interesting, and then we talked about. I mean, one of the things that when you had left me the voice note the other day, we're like, we need to talk about reconciliation and
Yeah.
communication,
Yeah.
right? Because a lot of this is that breakdown in communication,
Yeah.
especially when, again, you're getting catapulted into the spotlight.
Especially with young men.
Young
Yeah.
men, young,
Young
black,
black
men,
men.
young men of color, whatever, brown, black, whatever, just already you're going to have that, right? And so do you feel like not only obviously being catapulted into the spotlight, you've got millions and millions of streams and millions of followers and all of this stuff. Was there some arrogance that played into this? Did your
Absolutely.
heads get a little
For me,
big? I mean,
yes.
what was
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. And that's why I try to tell you guys, like, it's not like, see, like, you guys got the 23, 24, 25-year-old leader
Mhm.
with a 23, 24, 25-year-old mentality, right? So where reconciliation is important to me,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying, as a man, I look at it like, if it was not important enough to talk about it, and it took us 2 years. It took us 2 years to really, really talk it out. And we've had FaceTimes and we thought it was gonna be okay. We had phone calls and we thought it was gonna be okay. And then it fell apart again.
Mm.
Like right when we thought we was gonna get back together, that was like a year into the breakup. And then the communication broke off again. And then things got even worse. And then it got like, you know, the songs towards each other got even worse. And
Oh.
they started going
So
even,
y'all was playing music
Oh,
against
yeah.
one
We
another.
We was playing
oh
petty.
yeah.
We
We
was
was
doing the petty thing. We were
Yeah.
dropping
Yeah.
diss tracks towards each other
And that's what-
subliminally.
the egos, it was a
Mm.
clash of egos.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
And
2023.
pride.
All the music that you guys want to dance to and that's trending and stuff like that, that was us jabbing at each other for
Yeah.
that entire year. So all the music that we were promoting, pushing, dancing to, performing to, all of that was trending. It was our egos revealing themselves in the most, like, I don't want to say it wasn't us. It was just
What was
our
us in
only
the time?
I was like, at the
Yeah.
time that we were doing that and we had a real rap beef, it was like, if this is as close as we're ever gonna be ever again, I'm fucking cool with that. Because I need this nigga to know that there's nowhere that I'm willing to go in this music shit without bringing you up.
Mm.
Because that's how much you meant to my musical journey. So it got to a point where it was like, I knew I didn't hate him because I cared too much.
Yeah.
I checked up on him too much. I lurked on his Instagram. I checked his streams. I celebrated him silently. You know what I'm saying?
But let's talk about the breakdown. Let's really talk
Yeah,
about this
okay,
breakdown. And I
okay.
think it's important because I feel like even if you're not in the spotlight, I
Mhm.
feel like a lot of people can relate to breakdowns in friendships, right? They call it reasons, seasons, lifetimes.
Right.
And when people are growing and moving and life is changing,
Mhm.
even with direction and things personally, it can affect you in your relationships. So what was the ultimate kind of like nail in the casket that finally broke this down where y'all are not even talking to each other? It went from like feeling and thinking things in my
Can I please
head
answer
to
this?
it coming to a head. What was that? What happened in that moment
Can
for
I
y'all?
please answer this?
Go ahead.
Okay, so so I know that you remember. I remember clearly. It was about
I
20.
remember too.
It was about 28 days. About 28 days of me trying to just get on the phone with him just to have a, how are you? Are you okay?
So you were already shutting down.
Yeah,
was
I was already
checked out.
gone.
Okay.
Yeah, he had already checked out. So
Meanwhile, we also just dropped like our last single together,
Mhm.
the three of us.
Okay.
right.
And
And
then-
the song actually has so much potential because it's what people wanted from us. They wanted us to slow it down, not so much crazy sonics. Like Cuddy was a song of us actually calmly popping our shit and
Okay.
telling people we know who we are and what we are. So the irony in that is right after that song came out, I don't see any push from Malik. I don't see any push from anybody that's staying at the house in Chicago that the group had built together. And so I was like, it's just me, Renzell, his brother. pushing
mom.
his mom. Like everybody else is pushing the song, but it just doesn't have the same enthusiasm. And that was a sign at first. So I'm 28 days trying to get a hold of my little brother, and I'm like, yo, he's over there with all of these dudes that I taught them to know it's important to check the bullshit at the door. Check it at the door. Like if you smell something and it's weird, talk to your dog.
Yeah.
And if you see that he's bothered about something, literally like stress on him to talk to his dog. Like don't go to sleep with that in your heart. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That affliction in your heart. Don't sleep like that.
Right.
Cause I don't sleep like that. So like this isn't gonna work.
But you
So,
got 28 days.
28 days of
You're
him
trying to
not picking
reach
up the
him
phone.
because in your mind, your mindset at that time is we need to push this music.
Right.
Why are they falling asleep at the wheel?
But that's the thing is that I really just wanted to talk to him. Just to talk to him.
Because you knew something was up.
Yeah, when me and him have the one-on-ones, it's like night and day. Like he'll have a mode. I've been in his life for so long. I know that when he's in that mode, there's not many things that could get him out of it except for having a real conversation with him about real circumstances, about real things. So I'm talking to him about real stuff. I try to finally get on the phone with him, and it took our entire management team and the label that we were partnered up with for an album. And we had to talk about the hundreds of thousands of dollars that were going to be, you know what I'm saying, allocated towards us just as a payday for our album being finished. So I'm like, yo, we're closing in on this album being done. It was like 90% done. We just had to master
So
it or
you're in
mix
your
it.
business mind. You're trying to get this done.
Yeah.
What were you thinking and feeling at the time?
Wait.
Oh, sorry.
We got to talk about the breakup, right?
Yeah.
So we'll get back to him.
Okay.
But when the management and the label teamed up together to force my little brother that I've known for so long, it took all of these.
When you're saying little brother, you're referring to Malik, right?
Him.
Okay.
So if all these, like, you know, people that don't know him from a hole in the wall and are literally looking at him like $1 a day, or looking at me like $1 a day, or looking at Renzell like $1 a day, they don't care about him for real. So it took them to get us on the phone. That shit was fucking embarrassing. That was embarrassing. And it made me so hot that I'm on the phone already with him, and he was already, like, I could tell he was checked out. It was like I wasn't even looking at my mans no more. He's in a car in a brand new Benz, and he's smoking his wood. And I was so angry at him. I was like, yo, bro, no way you doing this right now. I said, yo,
who does Malik think he is?
what is going on?
I know who he is.
And he was young. He was younger than he is now, and he's still a baby to me. So it's like, so for him to be doing that in front of the label, in front of the management, I'm like, yo, dog, I haven't gotten on the phone with you in 28 days. What the hell happened? And he's like, yo, you just ain't talk. You just ain't talk.
So
And
he
I'm
was
like,
on nonchalant.
he was very
Yeah.
just disconnected. I was so angry that at that point I was like, yo, bro, like, you ain't make time for me on the phone in front of all these people. It looked like we having an
But
intervention.
in fairness, let me just say this.
Go
In
ahead.
fairness, that's exactly how he was feeling.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I feel like y'all two never understood that. Like,
Oh,
y'all
yeah.
just took it as like, but like y'all didn't understand where I was coming from at that
we didn't.
situation.
We
Like,
didn't.
I really felt alone. Like, I really was by myself. Like,
But you know what's crazy? Not to sidetrack anything.
Yeah. You know me, I'm a coach, so I'm just psychoanalyzing the whole
Please,
conversation right
please,
now. Yeah.
judge this part then. You know how Will Smith's daughter Willow,
Yeah.
when she said she was done and she just cut off all her hair before the Whip My Hair tour, he did that same exact thing, except he threw all the money away by breaching our contract by dropping singles by himself. So when he
Yeah,
did that,
that
the
shit
label
hurt
was
my
like,
soul.
oh
Yeah.
shoot.
Well, here's what I'm hearing. Here's what I'm
And
hearing.
they dropped the partnership with us. So his
I did do
rage
that.
was fueled with passion. He made a decision fueled with so much pain. He said, fuck the money.
yeah, it wasn't about the,
The money
money
for
to me.
you.
Like,
Right.
it wasn't like,
Right.
y'all supposed to be my niggas. Where y'all at? I'm going through shit. I got all this. I'm by myself. Like,
Right.
I don't care about this fucking music. I don't care about any of that. You know what I'm saying? That's
Yeah.
where I was at that moment because that's how I felt.
It's always like I always look at people like behavior equates to what? Those were just symptoms to a problem, right?
Yeah.
So these are when we talk about the tangibles and what happened exteriorly, like he's sabotaging, he's breaking this down, how you're seeing it from a business perspective. This is not what's going to grow our business. This is actually really hurting us. And he's feeling like, well, what does it got to take for you to understand what I'm thinking and feeling in my heart, right? Because it was two different directions of understanding. Both of you guys were right in what you're feeling. How it showed up in the real world is what ultimately broke you guys down, would you say?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if I were to speak to each and every one of you individually, your pain points are valid.
Yeah.
what you did with that emotionally
Right.
Exactly.
is what changed the dynamic of your friendship, your bond, and it ultimately created a huge shift in your business, really, right?
Crazy.
Because
It
Yeah.
shifted the timeline for sure.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. But
So
yeah,
yeah, go ahead.
definitely.
You were gonna say
No, I was gonna say it definitely was for the better, but we're still on the breakdown. So
yeah. We're still on the breakdown because
Yeah.
there's a reconciliation part
Yeah.
of it.
Mm-hmm.
So when this is happening, you're seeing it all. Obviously, your business is, I mean, because it's your business, this is y'all's business, and these choices is causing problems to the business. Because you said it hurt your heart. What
It
speak
didn't
to
really
that?
hurt my heart. It hurt like the hard working part of me. Like because the album, like we said, was 90% finished. We just dropped the last single before we dropped the album,
Mm-hmm.
and we were supposed to push this one to the max. This is my business hat on. I'm not. This is not my emotional side. That's
Right.
where I was fucked up. Like I couldn't emotionally recognize that there was something wrong here because I was so locked in on the fucking album and the fucking music, which is ironically what he wanted the most. Now I want it the most.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, damn. Like I feel like we just traded like places for
Yeah.
like 6 or 5 months or whatever.
yeah.
So when I found out that, like after that phone call and then he dropped the song and I was like, and then I heard that the label said, oh, they're dropping y'all. As I'm ready to turn this shit in, like I'm like, oh my God, like the hard worker in me was just like, damn, what the fuck was all that for? Like, why did I just stress my ass off for this?
Right.
And I didn't even want this the most. Like
Right.
this
Right.
wasn't my idea. Like,
Right.
so that's what I meant when I was hurt.
Yeah.
But
No, it's
you know,
valid.
after I sat on it, I was like, wait a minute, we're free. Really, we're free because the label don't own any of this music anymore. This
Wow.
is, they never owned it to begin with, but really we're free. He did us a favor. Like I had to take a day to process
It's like that
shit.
hindsight when you look back, even though that obviously wasn't your intention either, but it ended up working out for you all ultimately,
did.
is what I'm
Yeah.
assuming, right?
Yeah, in the end, to this day, it worked out because from that day, we were able to release music freely whenever the fuck we wanted. And the label wasn't telling us, drop it on this day, drop it on this day. We think you should do this. We think
Yeah,
you
I
should do
hated
this.
that.
And that was the most, annoying part about working or being in partnership with a label. But, it worked out for him and what he really wanted to do. And I think that we all actually got to do what we wanted to do.
Right.
The cost of it though was
Catastrophic at that time.
we weren't.
Now, let me ask you a very hard question. Had it not worked itself out because of that, would you guys have been able to have this reconciliation?
Wait, what was the question? What do you mean?
Oh, both of y'all did some heavy sighs
Wait,
there.
what was the
that-
question?
So
yeah.
the question is, ultimately, it worked out. You saw the it rerouted you in a way that's actually more beneficial because it gave you more liberty in your music and your distribution of your music, right?
Right.
But had that not worked itself out that way, had it cost you and it was a permanent cost, a finite cost, would that have affected the reconciliation between you guys? Would you have actually, do you feel like you would have been able to move past it knowing it didn't work out and that it was never going to work out again?
Yeah, that's more of a question for y'all because once again, it was never about that for me.
you.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
And do you want to speak, before they answer that, do you want to kind of speak a little bit more about that on your end? Because people are going to be watching, right? They're all fans of y'all. The fact that you guys are all together, it's the organ system, if you will, right? One part of the system doesn't work without the other. You guys just really are real refined together.
Yeah.
But you guys had different opposing things. And what's ironic to me actually is that emotionally you guys are all the same. It's just, and with all the multifaceted aspects to it, it was just showing up without the proper alignment.
Yeah.
Like if you all had your business hats at the same time
Right.
versus the emotional side versus this, it was just that every one of you feel the exact same way.
Literally.
It was just wearing the wrong hat at the wrong time.
Exactly.
And that was where the communication was breaking down.
Exactly.
Right? So
Exactly.
I guess go back to the original question is had it not worked out, how would this reconciliation look like today?
Weird.
It'd be weird because
It'd be weird for you. I don't know why. But for me personally, it's like it only aligns this way because we had a common love and appreciation for what the friendship did for us
Okay.
and what our collective like interests, like our mutual interests together. Like I can't remember a time where he didn't want to dance or perform or rap. I only know him because of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what introduced him to me. What kept us together, it was the laughs, the traveling, the losing, the winning.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it was the real life stuff in between that kept us connected. So like when I say it'd be weird, because it'd be like, it'd almost be like, and see, that's why it's incomparable. Like with anybody else other than us three, I can't say that I would forgive them, or like not forgive them, but reconcile with them.
Okay.
Like I've forgiven them for myself so that I could give more and trust more. And you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But in terms of reconcile with them, it would be extremely silly, because for what?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? For what? Like we gonna shake hands and then I'm gonna be your friend? I don't trust you now. I
Right.
don't trust you on a business level. I don't trust sharing an address with you. I don't trust this, and this. So it's like us reconciling would be almost like, to me, like there's like the way things pan out in movies, and then there's the way things pan out in real life.
Right.
And when you got things that you've earned that you want to protect, you don't just walk around here just forgetting. You know what I'm
that's
saying?
cool.
Yeah, it's cool, bro. Like it was
Yeah.
just some money.
That's why
It
it
was
would have
just
been weird.
Yeah.
that's
It
why
would have been weird, because had we turned in that project, had we all collected what we came to collect,
right.
it would have been, oh, I got this now. I'm not really tripping about that. We would have
Mm.
brushed it to the side,
Mhm.
because, I mean, we did it. We did the job, right?
Right.
Like, what the fuck you still want to be friends with me for?
Right.
Exactly.
But
Like-
that's an important clarity to have amongst friends,
Mhm.
because you know where you could go, where it has gone, right? And to say, okay, part of this reconciliation is being honest and open and saying, I'm happy it worked out, because maybe the reconciliation wouldn't have been there.
Mhm.
And being able to know that that's a point of reference, a frame where you guys stand from,
Right.
Do you regret, Malik, some of the decisions you made at that time? And if so, was there things that you would have done differently to communicate what you were feeling?
I mean, the only thing I truly regret is just not talking to bro. Like, we should just had our conversation and just got that shit over with,
Right.
you know? But as far as me going and dropping my own shit, I don't regret it, because it catapulted me into dropping the music that I am dropping and the shit that I do. And that changed everything for me, So
Mhm.
I don't regret that.
Gotcha.
But as far as not just being like, you know what, let's just talk this shit out, that was the biggest regret for me. And I thought about that for a while. Like, maybe shit would have been different if I would have just answered the phone,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and good and bad and indifferent, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can only see what's in front of us. It's that expression, the forest from the trees,
Mhm.
And sometimes there is, if the destination is designed truly, truly for you, no matter how often how you get off detour,
Yeah.
you'll end up finding your way back.
Exactly.
And it seems like that's what you all have done as a group.
Mm.
Yeah.
So how do you manage that now? Because clearly we're all here today
Right.
because of reconciliation. But how do you all, or have you even talked about when a person has decided amongst you all to maybe take creative direction someplace else? Have you figured out a way to communicate that if it's not on the same page?
Absolutely.
Well, the cool thing about the Future Kings, before the breakup, after the breakup, and like even in the beginning, was we were all capable of great things.
Mhm.
Independently.
So the great thing about us was the fact that we were able to come together and do our fucking thing. Like, so even now, after the breakup, now we can really be honest about our creative decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Like, now the more genuine side of us is coming into the work. So it's just making the work easier. It's making the work time efficient.
It's making
like
it authentic.
It's more
Not that
authentic.
it wasn't already.
Yeah, not that it
Right.
wasn't. It was
Right.
a raw talent. Like, we had raw
Yeah.
talent.
Yeah.
But now it's like raw talent mixed with real substance. Like,
That's real.
it's just, that's how I could explain it.
They say your greatest challenge will be your best teachers,
Mm.
right? And so having gone through this, as long as you're a student to your life, that is, right? You have to choose to
Yeah.
be a student to your life. But I mean, y'all, like you said, you guys are still young men, but you were obviously a lot younger then.
Yeah.
And so one of the things you said was, not only did we have to figure out a better way to communicate, and because the reconciliation was important to you all, because it goes beyond friendship, it's a brother, it's a family,
Yeah.
but also learning that I got to grow up. Maybe the decision I was making, I was being a little immature.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I really need to grow up, because ultimately it affects everybody, but it also really affects you.
Mm-hmm.
So how did y'all get from the 28 days and the breakdown and the music label, the issue with this, and now it's costing y'all money?
Costed 2
Time has
years.
been 2 years. I mean, it's a lot to be angry about, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of breakdown. They don't get me. They're not understanding what I'm thinking and feeling. They're thinking it's about this. There's a lot of narrative where whoever's on the receiving end of that narrative could agree with the person that's sharing it.
Right.
How did y'all get from all of that to finally being able to be like, let's lay down our swords and let's
Right.
remember who we are?
You know what's crazy about that? Like it wasn't always like anger. Like there was time in those 2 years where like we genuinely remembered each other,
Mm.
and like there's always like moments where I'm like, should I just call this? Like, should I
Yeah.
call this motherfucker?
Yeah.
Like,
How many?
like you know how
Bro.
many times we brought that shit up? Like
Yeah.
brought up the funny shit we did, like the
Yup.
old shit we did, watching
Yup.
our old videos in our house. Like that shit never stopped. Like just
Right.
because we were going through it. Like anybody that says they absolutely hate somebody 100% is lying.
Well, the hate comes from the love, right?
Exactly.
And then just really missing the person,
Yeah.
Genuinely.
right?
Like the crazy part for me is like I feel like there's a humility that was a merit earned
Mm.
in the partition. Like when we had broken up, I had to be more of what Malik sufficed for the appetite for the future Kings.
Okay.
I had to be more of like what I was afraid to be when he was there. And then he had to be more of what he was afraid to be
Mm-hmm.
when he didn't have us.
Mm.
So he had to be the spokesperson. He had to be the manager. He had to be the booking agent. He had to be the
Well, it
Just a
sounds like
leader.
a necessary evil for all of y'all.
exactly.
Yeah, it
which
was.
which piggybacking on what he was saying, that's why I'm proud of him for not regretting but one thing,
Mhm.
which is like I wanted to celebrate the success of Big Papa. His first trending record by himself.
Solo.
By himself. His first trending song by himself. I wanted to be there to tell him, dude, I knew it. I knew it. I knew this one. Because I always have this sense whenever they would work on it. Because a lot of people, and I'm going to set this record straight once and for all. A lot of people think I'm the guy on the hook of Three Vets. No, that's these two right here.
Yeah.
And before I even put my voice on that song was already a hit. It was actually Two Vets.
It was
be-
called Two Vets.
It wasn't Three Vets.
Oh, interesting.
It
Yeah.
wasn't Three Vets until I walked in there and I said, this is a hit.
And that was
And
also,
I want in. I want in on this one. So like when everybody thought I was the front man of the operation, what they didn't know is all I had to do was put my verse on it. All I had to do was make sure that we had choreography to it. These are the masterminds of Three Vets. 100
And
million.
what I love is, I mean, you're always going to have people who are going to have their opinions of what and how.
but I gotta keep
everything.
it. We gotta keep it.
But I
gangsta,
love that
though.
you do that. I love that y'all have that camaraderie amongst one another. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what everybody else thinks. But I do love the acknowledgement.
Yeah.
But does it matter to y'all as much anymore? I guess is my question.
No,
anymore.
I don't care if it's his
Nah.
verse or his verse. That's us together. That's us.
It's so fascinating
amazing.
to me because sometimes that's what the thing that we miss. We could be so laser focused on the bad, the negative of what has happened, right?
Yeah.
We could be so tied into that we don't see how necessary it was for you all to gain your own individual understanding. Because when you have a breakdown, it gives you a breakthrough, right?
Absolutely.
I know when Renzell was here last, there was even some question, like you go through these things, like, should I be doing this?
Mhm.
How much of this do I want to put my heart and soul in? I mean, you start to question, you start to ask yourself the questions.
Mhm.
Is all of this worth this?
Yeah.
You know, and you start to be inward and be reflective when you're really having these breakdowns at a peak time.
Yeah.
And the thing is, even when it's at peak to the outside world, they may not knowing that you're falling off your summit.
They don't know.
So talk about, I know we keep kind of going on, and I love this conversation because it's real and it's raw. But what was the final thing? How did you guys reconcile? And you said a little bit in the beginning where it started off where there was some reconciliation, but it seemed the way you guys articulated that there was maybe some residual shit going on. How did you finally get to this space where you guys are like laying down your sword?
I feel like when
It was
we
him first.
Well, okay.
And what was the reason?
Actually, I called him though.
Oh,
I
you
called
did?
him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay, well, let's talk about that, Malik. Like, why? Like, what was that? What was going on in you? You're like, I need to call him.
I had just left this photo shoot that I had been asked to do for this clothing line. And leaving, I just remember being so like, damn, like so quiet in this car. Like it's so like I'm just, and I just got to thinking about everything. And I had already been wanting to talk to them, like I had already been wanting to, but I just didn't know how I should go about it, what I should do. It's been so much time. And then all this, so I was just in the car and I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Let me call this nigga. Literally. And I just called him and we were on the phone the whole way home. And he's like, yo, bro, I'm about to come out there. Let's link. And we hung out and that was it. It was like, shit, we talked all damn night. And then he came out there and then we talked all damn night.
Yeah.
And then, it literally just started from that. Like, I was just like, I miss these niggas. I got to call them. I got to talk to them.
Man, what you said was so important, and the reason why I'm almost like a little lost for words because I feel like a lot of people can relate to that, where the breakdown becomes it goes too long, and then you want to reach out to a person, but you don't know how or what to do. And the fact that you knew that and you understood that, but you're like, you know what? I'm in a car alone. I just finished a photo shoot. That's cool. I'm doing this thing on my own. That's cool. But there's something missing.
Yeah.
Right.
And
exactly.
what was it like for you when he called you? Were you expecting that call? Were you surprised? How did you feel when he picked up the phone and he called you?
And you know, it's funny. It's funny because it had been so long that I never thought I'd ever see, like, and people used to like my boy Cam. He's like the biggest Soski supporter and the biggest Future King supporter. He's also my biggest hater. But it's so funny because he's one of my best friends ever since I was 14. And he told me, he said, one day y'all gonna squash it, get back together, and that reunion gonna be crazy. I was like, dude, you're insane. Never. Never. He went too far. He done costed us too much. Never. Bro, he hit, like, as soon as I saw his caller ID on my phone, I couldn't help but be like, the world stops. I'm like, oh shit. Malik is calling me right now. He's calling me. I pick up the phone. No matter how mad I was at him, as soon as my phone started ringing, I knew everything had to stop. I had to pick it up. So hearing him, here's the thing about Malik that a lot of people also don't know is he is apologetically challenged. He does not apologize.
Yeah.
He does not do that. So like, and I'm not impressed with the bare minimum. I don't care if you're the type of person that doesn't apologize. You did wrong by me. You have to acknowledge that. Or there is no reconciliation. That's not an option. Us being cool is not an option.
Can I challenge a little bit?
Sure.
Why did you use the word you did wrong by me?
You did wrong by me, right? By, if all I want is for you as a friend, I consider myself a professional friend. If you tell me you want to be the best in the world, I don't care what you want to be the best at, but if you tell me you want to be the best in the world at anything, and I see you doing something that's moving you away from that, I'm going to say something to you because that's like, you know what I mean? It's not like I'm going to give you my unsolicited advice. I'm going to tell you.
Are you sure? Maybe you will.
No, I will not do that.
Okay.
I'll give you my perspective. I'll tell you what I see. I'll be like, yo, bro, you just told me last week you were going to start doing this so that you could get closer to this. And you're actually going backwards. I feel like I'm providing that sensory detail for my friend. I feel like I'm doing my service. That's the only thing that I can do to really help you is tell you what I see.
So if someone's not receptive to that, do you feel like they're doing wrong by you by not being receptive to that?
No, that's just the beginning. Okay. So for me, it was a process. This whole thing was a process. It wasn't just one thing. It was one thing in conjunction to the next thing, in conjunction to the next thing. So when I saw what he was doing was regressive, when I said he did wrong by me, not only did he blocked my attempt at doing my part as a friend, but he rejected me too. So you blocked this space where you cheated me out of the chance to show you how good of a friend I am to you.
But that's
you blocked that, and then you rejected.
So I'm gonna be Mama Lolo right now.
Please go ahead
and say that is so ego driven.
Sure.
And that is really you placing blame, right? And so it's like I'm wrong, you're right, and and what you're feeling.
Not that I'm right.
But when you measure it by saying you did wrong by me, you guys did wrong by one another. There was a component that he had in his life that he felt that he wasn't validated in, and you too. Now they're circumstantially very different,
for sure,
and maybe we're measuring costs very different.
Right.
But either way it goes, there was a breakdown on both parts in that relationship.
Absolutely.
Right?
But to like share when somebody is wrong, it's more like a you know what you're doing. Right. And just because you're my boy and I love you and we're friends and I look at my ego like it's something that should be not
But
like
when we're
super big,
yeah.
like not a gazoo head, but it is something that protects receding.
But when we're measuring right and wrong, it costs us something.
For sure. But
Yeah.
that's ethics, and that's all perception. All of that shit is subjective.
It's not perception.
For-
It's
for
just like
me-
if we were to lay down our sword, right? I'm challenging you a little bit, I'm being Mama Lola a little bit.
Right.
Because when that languaging is that way, and this is me in my coach mind, okay? So just playing devil's advocate.
Right.
When we are still using those narrative, what will happen is resentment can creep back in, right? Because there's a measurement of right or wrong in that conversation.
Right.
And what I've learned in my life is that when we measure, if you say you owe me an apology because you were wrong, that is making me right, and that is a trade.
I understand that.
Okay.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I get that. What I'm
Y'all
saying
wronged
is,
each other for different reasons. There was a breakdown on both sides
I get it.
as far as communication and friendship, right? You had your agenda, he had his agenda. The outcome was bad and it was catastrophic for the business, understandably. So
Right.
I'm not saying what you're saying is not
Right.
100% valid. But I'll put it this way. This is one of the greatest lessons I've ever learned in my life. Life is meaningless, okay? Meaning
What?
there's no built-in meaning to life.
Right.
So
give
circumstances
it
that
meaning.
happen to our lives, we give meaning to,
Yes.
right? Our meaning that we give to is solely based on our life experiences.
Right.
So our fear of not being enough, our fear of not belonging, our fear of being alone. And we operate a lot emotionally off of those premises.
Right.
And so we give meaning to those circumstances. So when I say for you all as a camaraderie, it's easy to say these things here was wrong. These things here are right. And people will arguably agree with you. They'll say, yeah, you're right.
Sure, but like for me, the measure of wrong and right is like, are we wasting fucking time?
Yeah.
Because I just missed 2 birthdays, 2 Christmases, 2 you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So for me, it's like we just wasted time.
Yeah.
And it wasn't me. In my head, it wasn't me. No
Right.
matter what pushed him or, you know what I'm saying, pulled him this way or that
Right.
way, in my head, it's wrong for us to waste our time because it's not guaranteed. So for me, that's it. That's the wrong. That's the part where it's like, if you're going to apologize for anything, apologize for that.
Okay. And
For
what
the
was
fact
and what was
that-
your apology?
My apology is I'm sorry that I wasn't there. I'm just sorry that I wasn't there.
And sometimes that's
For-
where we
hold
all
on,
need
hold
to
on, hold on, hold on.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry that I wasn't there and I didn't look at it as a priority because of the business being my number one priority. And then our friendship became second. And that was the problem. Our friendship was always first until we were this close to some money we never had before. So the priority became the business. And that's where I fucked up at, is I wasn't there to explain to him in greater detail in ways that he could understand, we're gonna be cool. But I did attempt. So for me, it's hard for me to share 50-50 responsibility for everything. And that's what I want everybody to understand on my side, is that, like, just to be clear, is that it's okay to shake hands, hug, and both exchange apologies and say sorry.
Yeah.
Because that's important. It's important to know it's okay to be sorry, and it's okay to also be fucking
And not
wrong.
be 50-50.
It's okay to be wrong.
Yeah, and not be 50-50. You got to be 100%, 100%, 100%. You all come in
Sure.
as a whole, right?
100%.
And really breaking down. So it's like if y'all are going to be a union and have this dynamic and really move forward, everybody has to show up 100%.
Yeah.
When I start to think I'm 50-50, that means that 50% of you got to pour into 50% of me.
Right.
Whereas it's like, no, if as a brotherhood, as a business, as a bunch of businessmen, as creatives, we have to show up 100%.
Exactly.
And our responsibility to one another is that when you come 50%, I need to let you know that you're running on empty. You need to refill yourself.
Exactly.
Right? But that ultimately becomes an individual decision.
Yes.
And when someone's not doing their part because you're invested in their potential,
Yep.
when you take ownership of their potential,
That
then
was
there
a
could be a
problem.
breakdown
Yes.
for you. And what you
Absolutely.
said, something which was really interesting, is like family or brotherhood was always number one.
Right.
Until we got this close. So
Yeah.
you sacrificed something that was not in alignment with your core values.
Unknowingly.
Unknowingly. It's a blind spot. For him, what he's saying is, I'm recognizing that you made what was supposed to be a priority no longer a priority. And that's
Right.
what bothered him.
Exactly.
Again, it's just a breakdown in communication. Right. So how do you guys move past all that, and have you completely moved past all that? And I'm challenging you. And the only reason why I'm doing
I'm
this
always
is
up for the
because
challenge.
you guys have such a powerful, magnetic way of really influencing other people out there.
Right.
And I think for them to see the breakdown and being really raw about them, it'll inspire them to understand those dynamics too, because they're all valid points. But
Right.
how do we get each one's point to come to something where we could be cohesive and make it work.
For me, I didn't want an apology. I wanted acknowledgement. Like, that's what I wanted 100%. Because he was reaching out to me via text message, like, during that span of 2 years. Like, and I was, sorry, for the span of 2 years. And I was like, look at what Malik texted me. And I'm going to say this transparent, like, just full transparency.
Keep it real.
He texted me shit that, like, why would I respond to that?
I was texting him dumbass shit. I was like, hey, yo, bro, let's drop a song.
2 a.m. talking about, hey, man, me and you should drop a mixtape.
Just that random.
Like, I'm like, I ain't talked to you in a year, bro. He's like, hey, bro, we should drop a mixtape.
Yeah.
At 2 a.m. Hey, bro, me and you got this one song. It's super hard. I think we should drop it. I'm like,
what?
And then it just keeps getting worse.
I was just fucking with you, bro.
But what they're saying, though, so Malik, I'm going to turn around a little bit on you, though, because it sounds like one of his big frustrations when he said, you owe me an apology, what I actually heard him say was that you weren't being accountable.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I wasn't.
I can sweep under the rug, hit me up randomly, call me at random. But it's like we still have to talk about the elephant in the room. You can't just show up and sweep things under the rug because then that's going to build up resentment. So I think I hear that in what you were saying. Boom. So I'm hearing all of it, but it's the accountability factor. To say I miss my brothers, I miss the family, whatever, but I also have to be accountable that I took what I was thinking and feeling and did something that was sabotaging.
Yeah.
Right? And how are you managing that for yourself moving forward? Because those aren't traits and things that we do. It's like the money, the fame, and all of that. All it does is embellish who we already are. Right. So how do you get to this point now for all of you where you're like, all right, I made these choices because that's how I respond to things. And it caused this thing. But moving forward, what are y'all doing now to really keep this union so that way that creative energy and all that music and everything you guys have got to share really sticks?
Well, I just know now I'm a grown-ass man. Like, I'm not gonna, like, not say how I feel about anything. I'm not gonna, that was the biggest problem, was that I wasn't talking. I wasn't telling these niggas, like, yo, like, I don't feel like, I wasn't telling them that. They didn't know that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
They couldn't read your mind, yeah.
Exactly. So I feel like for me, it was just, I needed to be more vocal about what it is that I'm feeling, what it is that's going on. Like, if I don't do that, nothing's gonna go right, So for me, it was just, I gotta be better with communicating, and I gotta be able to understand everybody else's side, you know? Like, I can't just say, oh, it's my side, that's what it is. I have to be able to look at where he's coming from, and look at where he's coming from, and look at what I did, and look at what happened, and and be able to say, yeah, that was wrong. I shouldn't have did that,
Right. And do you feel like a big part of that too is saying, okay, I can share my feelings, but at some point, and respectfully I say this, I got to put on my big boy pants, and I can't have them hold my hand through every little thing. I got to manage these things too, especially when it comes to business.
Yeah, that was what I learned when I was alone. Like me being by myself was literally me having to do everything by myself. Like, I'm still doing the music. I'm still trying to do this. And now I just so happen to get a song that it just popped. Now people like this. So now it's a whole different thing. Like, now I'm dealing with a whole bunch of, and now it was actually a couple times I would be somewhere, I would be doing something. I'm like, damn, now I see how CD felt when he had to deal with this. Or now, so like, yeah, it was really, I feel like me going by myself was the best thing. I don't think that if we would have stayed together, it would have been like this. Like, I think
you wouldn't have learned what you needed to learn.
I wouldn't have. My ego would still be running up the fucking charts. Like, I would still be like, I don't care about this. I don't care about that. I don't, because I didn't have to,
That's so honest. I think that's so honest.
That is real.
Yeah.
And that might have been like the cost of being successful. Like he might have been bigger. Like we might have been bigger than we are now. But like really, we are not.
It wouldn't have been the same.
But big. Let's talk
we
about
would
that
have
a
all
little
had
bit.
shades on.
Yeah.
Right. No, for real.
Prima donna is hell in here.
There's only one.
But that's interesting though, is that to say, okay, we all could have been like big, but what would have been behind that?
Exactly.
Versus, I always say the gift will never be as valuable as the giver. If the gift is still there, and you may have failed or didn't do exactly what it needed to do, there's so many valuable lessons that you can actually create an empire from what you learned.
Right.
It could actually be stronger and more foundationally, there's a building in New York, And they put all these beautiful skyscrapers in New York. Okay, I'm using this metaphor here. And so all these architects and all these people, they started to build this building because they thought the foundation was good. And that building, as expensive as it is, and all the money that was poured into it, it's like right in the middle of Manhattan. This is a like legit building.
Damn.
It's not foundationally strong, and it's leaning. So they've had to completely shut it down, and the money is gone. Right?
Oh, no.
Sometimes when we think we're building something really, really great, and the foundation isn't really set where it needs to be, no matter what, it's going to cost you.
Yeah.
And so that's ultimately what happened. But what's great with you all is that the foundation's back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Stronger than ever to really structurally build this thing that you guys have. Because the gifts are still there.
Yeah.
The talent's still there. The youth is still there.
Yup.
So I'm going to segue here because we're getting ready to close up on this.
Yeah.
So what's next? What is next for you all as this group? What is next for you guys as individual entities? I mean, how are y'all doing this? What is the thing for the Future Kings?
2024 is the comeback of the Future Kings.
Yeah.
Okay.
Elaborate.
It's
the fall on.
It's the year we go mainstream for real.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is definitely gonna age well because we know what's going down. Like
Yeah.
we know what's going down. This time we're playing for keeps, and this time we got locks on our doors. You know what I'm saying? And we know who's big bros and who's little bros, and not everybody's little bro, not everybody's big bro.
Right.
And that's why that's another thing is we've become a lot more selective over our network, our atmosphere, our character. Like we're a lot more selective of who we're willing to show and reveal those little bro moments in front of. Like there are times where he's got to be big bro, and I'm 6 years older than him.
Right.
There's sometimes that he's got to be big bro, and he's 3 years younger than me. You
So
feel
it's
me?
not the age. It's just the experience and what you're taking from the
We
experience.
all been through this shit together.
Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
regardless of the age. Like
Yeah.
we was getting into nightclubs at like 15, 16.
Yo,
He's like 19.
Had to
Like
represent.
Got the X's on the hands.
got the X's on our
You
hands.
can't drink.
That's hilarious. But you know what? It doesn't matter the age. What happens is, like you said, you're all experiencing the same thing at the same time, but you're extracting different information,
Yes.
right? Because your life experience prior, who you are as individual. So your experience, it's like when someone dies, everybody mourns that person different because the experience is different with that person.
Yeah.
And so is this thing that you all have been through.
Yep.
So it's almost like you guys are kind of on equal playing fields as far as I see it from this perspective. And what I've learned is that really not allowing this breakdown in the communication to overtake who we are.
The synergy. We all want it the same way.
Yeah.
The same way. We want it just as bad as we did when we first established the group for real.
So what's the greatest lesson, one by one? Renz, what's the greatest lesson you've learned from all of it, from the rise, the fame, the everything being right there, to the breakdowns, to emotionals? Like, what is the lesson that you've learned at this point in your life about what you're doing with your life?
Well, in regards to this situation specifically, it's like it's way easier to pick up this fucking phone and call them. Like that, it's way easier than I think. That's that's really the most important lesson.
That's powerful.
Because like it doesn't even take much. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
even with apologies, it doesn't take much. Like I said, I don't really care for the apology as much as the acknowledgement. Like, because I forgive you every time. You know what I mean? Like, but I know with them, I just want us to continue to be open and continue to be honest. And that's it. That's all I can ask at this point in our life.
Yeah.
From where we go.
I love that. What about you?
Yeah, the biggest thing for me was to learn how to communicate, to learn how to not even just communicate, be okay with somebody else's perspective. And, you know, I had to learn how to do that. Like, that was the biggest thing for me. Like, all fields of communication is what I needed to fucking work on. And that's what I've been working on. And it's helped a lot. You know what I'm saying? Shit, we here right now talking to you, you know? So,
Right. Yeah, I love that.
Work shit out with your brothers. Real brothers work shit out. Otherwise, you're going to pay serious consequences plus tax.
Yeah,
Plus tax.
Side note, like the real fear struck, like thinking about the fact that like we would never like really see each other again. Like that was like real, like real fear. I was like, damn, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
Work shit out with your brothers. Work shit out with your brothers. Real brothers are gonna work shit out.
Lay down your sword, huh? Your pride, your sword. Your sword could be your pride, your ego, and letting stuff go on for too long, right? And not knowing how to circle it back when it's gone on for such a long time. Because then you almost get caught up in that. Of like, I know I should call, but I'm not gonna be the first one to make that call. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Knowing that someone's got to be able to lay down the sword and disarm the other person.
That's real.
All right. Well,
What about
gentlemen,
you? What did you learn from all this?
Yeah.
from all that you guys shared, and
That's some niggas owe an
well,
apology.
listen.
Sometimes niggas owe an apology.
Listen, it's interesting that we're having this conversation because I too have had recent breakdowns in friendships. They become incredibly fragmented. I also know, although I'm playing devil's advocate with you guys, there's I'm doing that with intention.
Yeah, of course.
I also know that sometimes when you're growing, okay, let me start over. When they say to surround yourself with like minds, right? That is only valuable if that's where you want to stay.
Yeah.
Okay. And kind of like what you were saying, Isaiah, is like, when you can see something, you see that potential and you love them, you want to take them on the ride with you.
Right.
And what I've learned is to let people be in the space that they need to be in. I can plant the seed, but that's all I'm responsible for doing if I see something.
Right.
Without measuring the outcome, right? But when you do start to grow in success, however that looks like, or the perception of success, you're going to cultivate a new version of yourself, right? I don't think we change who we are, but we do cultivate who we are. So if I was a seed and I'm in the season of my tree, maybe my friend is still just the plant or the sprout. And I've got to understand that and know whether or not I could walk away from a friendship and be amicable and say, in business and in friendship, it's not going to work.
Right.
I also know that letting everybody be an expression of who they are and finding a way to make that work together. Right. And if it doesn't, saying, you know what, that's your creative power. That's what you want to do. Let's agree to disagree and move on and go our separate ways.
Right.
And so I think for you all, as far as me listening and everything, because I know that I remember when I first met the three of you.
You were helping us
trying to find a
for our
place.
house. Yeah.
And there was definitely 100% this camaraderie, this brotherhood, this family feeling. And there were other people here too, but the three of you had something dynamic. I also saw what it was like when you were missing and just being hurt and broken down and just really missing you.
Yeah.
Like they definitely missed you, And I love to see that true to yourselves and your hearts, you guys are here together. And no matter what, that needs to be first all the time.
100%.
Even if it means going in different directions professionally.
100%.
Do you know what I'm saying? So I don't know if that answered the question. I was a little long-winded, but
No, that's real.
No,
but it's also making me open my eyes to some fragmented friendships and saying, is this my pride? Do I need to pick up the phone and make a call? Or do I just need to let it be where it's at?
You're welcome.
Thank you. All right, well, tell them where they can get your music, where they can see all your stuff. Come on, give the plugs, give the plugs.
No, first of all, Kangsta Sounds, Monday through Friday, 1 to 3 p.m., HB Radio. Make sure that it's available on iHeart.
Yeah.
Make sure that you go cop them kicks from Major Waves.
Yes,
Major Waves
yes.
and Kangsta
The
Footwear.
vanillas.
It's out. The vanillas are out now. Multiple colorways coming soon. And yes, you are getting an album. You are.
Yes.
Go ahead, Malik. Tell them.
Well, shit. New music on the way. You know what I'm saying? We got some new TFK on the way, new Soski on the way, new Renz on the way, new Renz and Soski on the way, new Kang and Soski on the way, new Kang on the way.
Wait.
Bro, we got so many. It's a lot going on right now. We really finna turn this shit up. So if you watching this shit, remember I said we finna turn this shit up, bro.
Hey.
Just don't forget the little people.
Hey.
What do you gotta say,
You
Renz?
not
Come on,
little,
Renz.
Hey, little, what you
Oh
talking
yeah.
about?
Big thank you, by the way, to all of our family, my wife, his girlfriend, my mom, my brother, Cameron, everybody that was in the middle of all this shit, having to help kind of drag us through the mud on our lowest points.
Yes.
Shout out to HB, our fucking DJ
In the motherfucking building.
in the flesh. Just all of our fans for being super respectful and receptive to what we were going through, and everybody that was asking what happened to Malik, he right here.
Right here.
So
not going
talk
nowhere.
about what happened to Malik, he right here.
I
up
love
now.
it.
You know what I'm saying?
Got my man's back.
I'm so happy for y'all. You don't even know.
Yes.
I'm
thank
so
you.
happy.
Thank you.
So I thank y'all for being here, being candid and real and raw. because that's who you guys are. You know, that
Mhm.
authenticity is magnetic, which
And
is.
you are amazing.
Thank
Miss
you. I
Lorraine
appreciate
Lindsey.
you. I'll take my flowers. Thank
You are so awesome. You are
Thank
so
you.
awesome.
I
This is such a
appreciate you.
dope outlet.
Well, you know, I adore you. You know, you mean the world to me. All of you, actually.
We adore
but
you. You
yeah.
keep the safe space for us to, you know.
Absolutely. Always a safe space. And you guys can come back anytime. Love
Oh,
having y'all here.
we'll take you up
We'll be
on
talking about some different stuff next time.
Mhm.
Right?
some,
Probably.
Right.
some recipes.
Well, thank you guys so much for watching. And until next time, ciao.
It does shit.
Yeah.